Hi, welcome back to your mat. We're going to work on some strength building drills to get us ready for inversions and perhaps arm balances if you're up for it. So I'm going to start us off in Dolphin Pose. So come down onto your hands and knees for me. And what I like to do in Dolphin Pose, there's a couple different ways you can do Dolphin Pose. I like to lace my fingertips together. So come down onto your forearms, lace your hands together, so bring your palms together, lace your fingertips together. Make sure that your elbows are just ever so slightly just outside, just a teeny tiny bit. Actually, I'll have you come a little bit inside. So bring your elbows in a little bit closer, because when you come up, they'll kind of move out a little bit and then they'll be exactly underneath. And then press your inner wrists down into the floor. So you're gonna just bring your thumbs in back towards your nose. Good. Curl your toes under. Lift your hips up and back. And then see if you can hold dolphin for 5 breaths. 10 would be optimal, but we can work up to that. So this is the idea that we're working up to getting strength to eventually have the courage to hop our feet up. And that's the Virasana part of it. I call it Virasana. And then take another 3 breaths, inhaling. And as you're doing this, I really like to engage my upper back here. And how I came to doing these drills for strengthening my shoulders, and let's be honest, strengthening my resolve and getting rid of my fear, was I had a shoulder injury. And this became kind of a therapeutic for strengthening the muscles around my shoulder. Go ahead and come down, bring your knees down. Now go ahead and walk your hands a little bit further forward. Yeah, and come down on your forearms. And the next drill we're going to do is curl your toes under, lift your hips up and back, is do a forearm plank. So walk your feet back a little bit further to the, you can even bring your heels to the baseboard if you like. And then bring your chin forward and shift your shoulders forward. Hold and push back up into Dolphin Pose. So bring your bottom back up, yes. And then inhale and come forward. Yeah, exhale and come back. Let's do 2 more. Inhale and come forward. Exhale and come back. One more time. Inhale and come forward. Exhale and come back. And then lower your knees down for me and take a break. So you had more of a pike position. So like that's the first step in the progression, right? So sometimes when we're building strength, we need to have that little bit of an arc in our body because we're not really ready to have a ton of weight into our shoulders. So now we're gonna do it a little bit more. We're gonna move to the next rung on the ladder. So come down onto your forearms, come a little bit closer to the mat. So maybe the tips of your fingers are at the top of the mat, or the top of your knuckles are at the top of the mat. Good. So lengthen in the side body. So you want to bring the tops of your shoulder up to the base of your neck and then soften between the shoulder blades. Curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back. Walk your feet back a little bit. I know you like short, go big. So think about going big. Think Bull Mastiff, think Great Dane when you're in this, as opposed to Chihuahua. And then inhale, bring the chin forward and walk the feet back and see how close you can bring your body. Yep, keep coming back. There we go. So that's the next rung on the ladder, right? So before we had a little bit more of a pike, and now we have a little bit more of a plank. And then lift the hips up and back. Good. And you see how much strength? If you see, there's a lot of strength that's required to push back into that. Let's do 2 more. Come forward. Good. Come back. Last one. Come forward. Come back. And then lower the knees down to the earth. And just rest in child's pose for a moment. Take a break and catch your breath. So you notice how there's little steps and little progressions. And when I was working towards my forearm stand practice, I would do this a few times in my practice, like maybe 10 of those, take a break and do another 10. And just to get a feeling for what it's like to put weight into my shoulders and to move while I'm putting weight into my shoulders. Because as we know, with a forearm stand, we're hopping and we're kind of swinging up. So you have to get used to moving your hips and being okay with swinging up. So that was one of the first drills or techniques I learned to strengthen my shoulders to get ready to come up into a forearm stand. So the next step we'll take is we're gonna add some resistance and stability at the wall. So come back and bring your feet right back to the baseboard and come into tabletop with your feet at the baseboard. Good. and then come down onto your forearms. You might as well stick with this. So if you want to, you can also keep your forearms parallel and use a block. So sometimes I like to bring a block, wrap your fingertips around the block so that they come up around the top, and push your hands into the block for stability. Walk your elbows in a little bit so they're just slightly inside. All right, and then come into a short dolphin with your feet at the baseboard. And then step your feet up the wall. One and then the other. And then really hug the block in, really hug the arms together. Now take one leg up to the sky and then tap that leg. So bring it all the way down and tap it to the floor. Bring it all the way to the floor and then up. Good. You can bend this knee if you like to bring that down and then come back up. One more on this leg. Down and come back up, and then bring that foot back to the wall and do the second side. Up. Good. Tap the toe. Oh, need a little bit of a break. Totally cool. So you can see how intense this can be in building strength. And the reason we're at the wall and we're moving our leg up and bringing it down and up and bringing it down while we're pushing into the mat, while we're squeezing the block, is we're getting used to the movement of eventually hopping and moving. Hopping and moving. So when we can get over the Virasana of moving that leg up and back, it becomes less daunting when we start to do it at the wall or even away from the wall. And the beauty of doing these little drills is if you're teaching a mixed level class where this is a pose you want to teach, those of your students who aren't ready to go up, or if you're a student that's in the class and you're not ready to go up, you can take these drills and work at your own pace. So I'm not going to torture you with 2 more of those. I think we get the general idea. So if we're moving into a kick up for handstand, we do something that's very similar as well. So let's come onto our hands and knees. I promise not to torture you too much. Pinky finger comes to the edge of the mat. So just think of a little bit bigger in your stance. Feet right up against the baseboard. Short down dog. And then I'm going to give Catherine an assist. Is it okay if I give you an assist? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my hands on her shoulder blades. I'm going to hold her shoulder blades together just because we're getting tired here. Another thing you can do is strap the arms if you're feeling really tired. And then step your right foot up and then your left into L at the wall. And again, if you're getting really tired, you can also take a break and do this another time. Take your right toes up to the sky and keeping that leg straight, go ahead and touch the toe to the floor. Good. Down, and now bring it up. 1, let's just do 2. And down, and bring it up. 1, come back to your L. And just for balance sake, let's do the other side. Now I'm holding her firm. Down, and up, and down, and up. And now plant your feet at the wall, and walk your feet down, and rest in child's pose. So you see, when we do that, we get used to the feeling or the sensation of lifting that leg, which will be ultimately the kick and the swing leg. And those types of tutorials help get you ready for the sensation of moving that way and building strength. Another way you can build strength is to do L at the wall and hold it for a few moments. So one thing I did is I downloaded a timer on my smartphone that dinged every 10 seconds. And then I would get up into L at the wall and see how many seconds or how many increments of 10 seconds I could hold. And maybe you start out with 10, and then you maybe graduate to 20 and 30. And eventually, I think I got up to maybe 3 minutes, which now seems like a really long time. But what I learned from practicing those drills is that my chaturanga got stronger and my shoulder healed because I was strong enough to hold myself in chaturanga in a proper way. And that was a big leap for me in my practice into getting into handstand and getting into forearm stand, was being strong enough and having that movement in the hip and being okay, learning how to feel my body through space and time through those types of movements helped me become a lot more successful with my forearm and my arm balances. So I invite you to give it a try. I always encourage you to be closer to the wall in case you get scared or in case you need a little bit of extra stability or a little bit of extra help. And don't be afraid to try, because sometimes we're just afraid to try, and I call that Virasana. So if we can get over our Virasana, these poses sometimes aren't as challenging as we think. But give yourself a break, and if it takes you 20 years to get there, so be it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for being here.